Welcome to Women in the Middle Entrepreneurs, the podcast that gives you an unfiltered, behind-the-scenes look at what it's really like being a woman in the middle who's over 50 and following her entrepreneurial dreams. Grab a superhero cape, girlfriend, because you deserve one. I'm your host, Master Certified Life Coach and Midlife Mentor, Suzy Rosenstein, and I am excited to inspire you with interviews that feature all of this midlife amazingness. Let's go. Hey there, welcome back to the show. We have another really exciting interview ahead of us about harnessing limiting beliefs related to becoming a successful entrepreneur. Today, you'll be meeting Katie Pulsifer, a woman in the middle entrepreneur who's coaching visionary women to lead boldly, earn abundantly, and live out their heart-led legacy. Welcome to the show, Katie. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Really excited for our conversation.
Oh, I am too. It's so good to see you because we have known each other over the years, and it's just really nice to have you in my Zoom square today. I know we're going to have a great conversation about your midlife entrepreneur story. We're going to be talking about your business and what's going really well, and also what midlife issues might be getting in your way to some extent and might be a little challenging for you in life as well as being a business owner. So let's start with a nice juicy question. How old are you? How long have you been an entrepreneur? And what is it that you do in the world? Take it away.
So I'm 57, and I would say that I became an entrepreneur about 1 year and 10 months ago, even though lots of people tell me I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time in different roles that I've held, whether it was small startups within big corporate environments or leading departments. But I brand this era as my true entrepreneurial journey because of so much work I've had to do to believe that I'm an entrepreneur. It's one thing to say you are, it's a totally different thing to believe it in and to really embrace the identity of an entrepreneur. So I coach women in midlife. I help them really do much of what I'm doing, which is, what do you want to be known for? What is this phase of life all about? What do you want to do next? What's the legacy you want to create? I do that in private coaching. I also have a coaching certification program. Women learn how to coach themselves, coach others. And my work is coaching myself to be the best coach that I can be for others. But a lot of it is around the mindset of like hanging in there in this game of running your own business and being a bold risk taker, someone that puts their work in the world when no one is looking for it, and just to keep going, the tenacity to keep going, I didn't realize would be such a requirement for me.
Oh my gosh. It is such a big deal to believe that you can do it.
Yes.
And keep doing it, even when sometimes you think you have no business believing that.
Yes. So well said. And unlike other things, I mean, motherhood, when in the thick of it, was certainly hard, but I believed I was meant to do it. So I just kept figuring it out, even in all of those really, really hard moments. But there's something about this, when it's really, really hard, I'll be very honest, every Thursday I want to quit. Every Thursday I'm like, I've had it. I just want to go do something simple and I'm not even good at this. And then Friday rolls around and I feel a lot better. That's so funny.
Now, one of the things that you say in your, like when you write about what it is you do, you use the term heart-led legacy. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's an invitation to all of us to choose the thing that lights us up the most, that you just know on the inside you are meant for, that brings out the best in you, that allows you to radiate and live with a lot of vitality. Now, it may be the smallest, quietest legacy that only you know about. It might be the biggest one in a really public way. It doesn't matter. But it's when you truly tap into, oh, this is the thing that lights me up. Another way of saying is, this is a full body yes for me. This is I want to be known for. So I love helping women find that.
I have to say it's heart-led. I never really understood what that meant because
Mm.
people use it in so many different ways. So I loved, having a chance to ask you about it. What did you mean by it? And when it comes to legacy, that's another thing in my work with midlife gals. It comes up all the time too. And it's just so interesting that so many of us haven't really even thought about it.
Speaking for myself and some of the clients that I've worked with, there's a belief that that's off limits to us, that that's something for men. Some people believe that, or it's reserved for those who do things on a very big scale, a large financial scale, a corporation scale.
Right.
Yet, how fun is it to believe that your legacy could be you painting note cards in your studio, in your house, and people buy them at the local health food store? And that's your legacy. I'm speaking of my mom when I give that example, who is doing this in her at 80. But that will be her legacy, is creating art, and you can buy it in town. And why can't that be counted and be as significant and as important as some of the legacies that maybe we deem as more accomplished or a bigger deal?
Definitely. And when I think about that, because it's certainly something that I've had to think about too. When I got laid off in 2013, started in the coaching space in 2014, I was like, legacy, man, I never even thought about that. So that was, I was in my early 50s at that point, and I
Mm,
hadn't even thought about it. And I've come to think about one of the things that's very important for me in my legacy is raising three emotionally intelligent
mm,
sons.
Thank you for that. I want to personally thank you for raising three emotionally intelligent sons. That is no small job, and it is very important for our world. So thank you.
Isn't it? Oh my gosh, I've been so blown away with I
Yeah.
can't take full credit, but I had a lot to do with it.
Of course, of course. But even setting that vision for yourself
Mhm.
and declaring it, and that fully came from your heart, of course.
It did. It
It's so
really did.
beautiful. It's so beautiful.
And to see them as young adults and to like the way they think and the questions they ask and their
Mm,
communication, and it's
mhm.
really been something. So legacies really can be rewarding. And I love your point that as women, some of us don't even think we're allowed to do that. That's
Yeah.
so
It
true.
wasn't built for us. We don't get to have that. And why not? Why not us?
Exactly. Now, one of the things that is, so exciting about this podcast is talking about midlife challenges. The way that midlife hiccups, midlife issues,
Mm,
obstacles get in the way and affect the way you run your business the way you want to. Because
mhm,
lots of modifications have to be made. So how has
mm,
that affected you?
mm, mm. Well, as we were talking before the show, in the smallest of ways, for when I look at my to-do list on a daily basis, and it encompasses business building tasks and client tasks, and also 17 phone calls I make for my parents, scheduling a plumber, fixing the cell service in their house, and then also three daughters in their 20s who, when they check in, it's all urgent. So it might not be on the to-do list, but boy, do you need to answer the phone when it rings. So it's holding all of that. It's the meshing and the holding of all of those things happening simultaneously almost every single day.
Yeah, it's true. It's really a part of our midlife operating system, it's how we roll
Mhm.
as parents. Another thing you said in your notes that really
Mhm.
struck me is the way at this age you notice like your mindset needing to be managed in many ways,
Yes.
but in
Yes.
one way, this bracing for something terrible to happen. And I do see this happening a lot in midlife. It's
Mhm.
part of the age thing. And of course, the kinds of things we've seen with other people our age, but this idea that it's not a question whether or not something terrible is going to happen. It's just bracing for, waiting for, expecting. How's that
Mhm.
showing up for you?
I think about it. I don't know if I think about it daily, but at least several times a week, especially whenever I'm doing any long range planning and I'm thinking about something that I want to create and build for women that I work with that's going to span out over time. And all of a sudden, my brain freaks out. How can you plan the future like that? How can you say that you're going to be available for a 6-month period of time when who knows what is going to happen, where you're going to need to be, what is going to be asked of you? And
Yeah.
it's almost this immediate self-protect. Don't don't sign up for anything. Don't create anything that you might have to back out of or cancel because you will be the first phone call. And
Yeah, it's
that's
so true. It's
it's
such
not
a big one.
necessarily true that I will be, but boy, do I recognize it now a little bit as like just fear of putting something new into the world.
Mhm.
Also rooted in, yeah, my dad is 85 and my mom is 80 and anything can happen. And I do want to be the first phone call also.
Yeah, and I experienced that recently with a family emergency, a death
Mhm.
in the family, and ironically, we were trying to record this interview when I got a very scary phone call,
Mhm.
and I had to make a decision and manage my business in a way that had to accommodate where I
Mhm.
needed to be, where I wanted to be,
Mhm.
and emotionally, we managed it, but it was very interesting. And now what's happening as we're recording this is the tail end of a week where all the things I canceled got rescheduled to the last week of the month. Not all, but most. And
Yes.
it's been a crazy week accommodating everything that was missed. But the other thing that I'm noticing in this regard is when something is going on in your family or something stressful going on in a part of your life, that it's definitely more challenging to show up the way you have to sometimes in your business, depending on the business,
Mm.
right? But also just that. And there seems to be more of that going on in midlife with all the people that we are supporting.
Very well said. And that's when and I'm sure you'll agree, I'm so grateful that I'm trained as a coach. Coaching just isn't my profession that I do for other people, but that I'm truly trained to use the skills and the tools to support myself beautifully, perfectly. Absolutely not. But I am resourced for those moments, like the
Yeah.
moments where your schedule gets stacked at the end of the month, despite all your best planning, the moment where you have to cancel something to be where you truly want to be, where your heart is with your family, and then be okay with that and not make that problematic for you or make it mean anything about you. I'm grateful that I can pull tools to continue to resource me in those moments because this season in life asks a lot of us.
Yeah,
A
it
lot.
really does. It does. Now, one of the things that was so fun about looking at your application, even though I've known you for a long time, is that I didn't know that you spend, I don't know, mentioned many weeks a month. You can describe it on an island in the Caribbean. Like you go
Yeah.
back and forth between your home in Maine and
Mhm.
this other part of your lifestyle. If you could explain a little bit about that, and is this something that you think you would have considered when you were much younger?
Oh, I think younger as in mothering?
I
Younger?
don't know, however you define it, earlier in your career.
Yeah, so maybe pre-mothering, I would have been very open to it, but it feels like the exact right thing to be doing now. My husband's work takes us to the US Virgin Islands for, a period of time. We're there most of every single month, and we've done that now for well over a year, and I'd like to think that I had the adventurous gene within me to have pulled this off earlier, and I'm not so sure. I think this is the perfect moment for me to do it because the amount of constraint it requires, I mean, the smallest wardrobe you have ever seen, and I used to care a lot about clothes and bags and shoes and products and things, and I have a capsule wardrobe and basically enough that I can throw in a couple suitcases if I had to leave quickly. And so I think there is a maturity. I love that you've asked me this question because I often think about everything I'm missing by being there and not home near my family as often as I'd like to be. And yet it's the perfect time for me to be there.
Yeah, I mean, it really struck me that you have clearly figured it out. You
Mhm.
figured out how to live and work in both of those places. You have some
Mhm.
kind of a routine and pace, some kind of a
Mhm.
pacing that's working for you. And
Mhm.
you're right. If you really think about different times of your life, other than when you were single before having children, in that phase where you were more footloose and fancy free, but had way less experience and way fewer resources, but maybe in those days you could have done something like this, but once you have a family and more commitments that tie you to a community, it could be a little more challenging. So what a lovely opportunity that this phase of your life can present.
Well, I'm really struck by this question because often reflect on my time there, and I don't have a car and I don't have any friends. And I say that without seeking sympathy. We're there for my husband's work and he has a company car. And when he goes to work, I build my business and I am also turning inward for not the first time, but with real attention and without a lot of distraction, really focusing on myself, even just what I care about spiritually. I am teaching myself to strength train, which I've never done before in my entire life, and to really just be thoughtful in the prioritization of me. And that could have never happened before based on the other choices that I wanted to make in earlier decades where everyone else got it first. So,
Yeah, so common and so hard to move into this phase where we can put ourselves first. So that
mhm.
begs the next question. If you didn't have the opportunity in the Caribbean, do you
Mhm.
think you would be focusing on yourself as much in your primary residence in Maine?
Ultimately, yes, I think it would have taken me a lot longer to get there. I think I would have fumbled for longer. I think I would have
Mhm.
been tentative in declaring this is for me. I think I would have driven down the road to check on my parents, driven over to their town. I would have kind of kept old habits and things in place that provided honorable distraction. Not bad but honorable, being a good daughter, being a good friend, being a good neighbor, being a good community member. And this situation has really stripped all of that away. And so I spend all day by myself. And sometimes the power goes out. And so it's literally, all day by myself without maybe even getting to do some of the things I'd like to do online to support my business. And so a lot of reflection, a lot of journaling, a lot of walks up and down the same small little road. So no, it could have never happened the way it's happening unless I were there.
Wow, it's so interesting to think about the way opportunities present, how you look at
Mhm.
them, how you maximize. Really, really fascinating. Well, I love the idea of you being in a place that's so beautiful
Mhm.
and and
Mhm.
just really figuring it out. So,
Mhm.
how have you noticed that being an older woman, older and wiser, of course, affects being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur and vice versa? Have you noticed any of that?
Yes. I mean, my favorite thing to think at this age is that I know just enough to be a little bit dangerous.
Mhm.
So I don't want to be totally up to speed on everything related to social media or tech or AI. I know just enough to get my work across the finish line and into the world, and I don't care about any of those other things, which is so liberating. So it allows me to not get distracted and decide, oh, today I need to be an Instagram influence. You know, I can stay on task and on point I also am willing to make a fool of myself. Not deliberately, how ridiculous can I be, but typos, who cares? Um,
Mhm.
Not saying something as succinctly and beautifully as I'd like first take, who cares? Being a work in progress all day long, every day. I'm so much more comfortable with that this age than I
Yeah.
would have been 40 years ago, 30
Oh,
years
yeah. Yeah. Probably for me, probably even 10 years ago, when I had my job, I definitely was not as comfortable, making mistakes.
That's fair. Yes. So for me, when I left corporate in 2013, yes, still terrified of making mistakes, getting in trouble, being found out, like you're in the wrong position. Oops, we accidentally promoted you. What were we thinking? Oh boy.
So what would you say has been the most surprising thing about being our age, a midlife woman over 50, and being an entrepreneur? So what has surprised you about the entrepreneurial experience at this point in our lives?
Well, I think it would bring me back to where I started is that it is available to all of us. And it is just a decision. And I don't mean to minimize it because it's also really, really hard. But where I used to think that I was not smart enough, that's been my story my whole life, not as smart as everyone else, that I needed to have some special makeup or biology that would qualify me to be in the entrepreneurial game. What I've realized is it is available to all of us, and it's just a matter of saying, "I want it too, and I'm willing to become that." So that is really incredible and totally surprising because that required me to turn that belief upside down,
Mhm.
that it wasn't for me or that I wasn't smart enough to be in the game.
Yeah, that it wasn't just your DNA that
Yes.
that set that in stone.
Yeah. Yes.
So so what are you focusing on now? Like, what do you want next in your business?
Well, I've been talking about this a lot lately. I feel like I have this little engine in me that is sprinting in, let's call it my passion engine. It's like it's sprinting in me to like get the word out, to help as many people as possible. It's not even in a self-promotion way, but it's in a things could be a lot easier. You don't have to feel so stuck or so confused or so overwhelmed. So there's this passion that's like sprinting in me. And then there's the way I work, how I get that work into the world. And so I'm most excited about figuring out how I speed up my workflow and my work process to serve as many people as I possibly can. So that I know it's like kind of my next level. It's like my next thing to conquer and kind of overcome because I know it's all wrapped in limiting beliefs of how I produce. So I'm excited to see what I figure out that helps me reach more women to help them feel supported and that their legacies matter, what they want in the world matters, that they get to speak up and claim it and ask for it.
It does strike me because being like using the word speed as you do to speed up your flow and work process, a lot of women our age are worried about their pace
Yeah.
and want to make more peace with their pace. And you're sounding like you want to like rev up. So interesting.
Yes, and I so deeply respect the one everyone who wants to slow down, and I think you catch me in a moment where I had the opportunity to slow down after I left a job working for the life coach school and being very, very busy there. Coming off of that experience, I did have the opportunity to slow down a bit. My nervous system required it. It insisted. And now I feel, grounded, alive, committed to what I'm doing next. And so that little engine, that little passion engine is starting to rev up again. And isn't it beautiful to think that we can have different seasons in our life like that? And we can always choose when we're slowing down or speeding up.
Well, and we can change on a dime. But the other
Uh-huh.
thing is that making peace with your pace is being okay with the revving up.
Yes, yes, yes. And really tuning in and listening to that.
Yeah,
And what will that look like now in this moment? Um, Probably very different than the revving I did in the past, which was all about chasing validation and approval and people
exactly.
pleasing. So, if I don't do it that way this time, what will it look like?
Exactly. Yeah, that's really interesting. So, in this phase of life, as we talked about, there's lots of obstacles, lots of things that can get in your way. And there's also the benefit of wisdom and experience. What would you say helps or hinders your personal ability to cope with all of it?
I know that if I overextend, then I begin to shut down. And overextending, I never, when I was younger, I never had checks and balances around that. I
Mm,
also didn't really understand that I spent most of my 20s and 30s and early 40s in fight or flight. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that I was operating from that space. And overextending just felt like just what you do. It was just as common as breathing and drinking water. And so I know to look out for it more. I know I need rest. I also know that my greatest gift to myself is solitude.
mm,
And I am unapologetic about it. It's not just me time, it's quiet. It's not trying to engage in conversation or listen to anything or learn or quote unquote better myself. It is pure silence and solitude.
well, how amazing that you have such a beautiful place in the world to give that gift to yourself.
Yes. Yeah, definitely, definitely. But that is the thing that hits the recharge button for me and helps me cope. And also knowing that I don't have to have an answer immediately. I can wait 24 hours and bring a question or a dilemma or a challenge into some solitude and then come out on the other side with something I'll do a few hours later or the next day. All lessons learned the hard way, my friend. All
Well,
things I've learned the hard way.
for sure, but we've
Oh,
had a lot of time on this planet to not just learn, but to apply the lessons. We're motivated to apply the lessons. I mean, that's what wisdom is all about.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so good. So, Katie, how can people best get in touch with you?
It's best to find me on my website, katiepulsifercoaching.com, or Instagram, or Facebook, or LinkedIn. I also have a Substack where I write a newsletter talking about many of these things that we've covered today. And that's Katie Pulsifer Coaching as well.
Amazing. Katie, thank you so much for taking the time from your day and sharing all of this good stuff about your personal journey and what you're doing and how it's lighting you up personally. I really appreciate how authentic you've been and just how thoughtful. It's been great.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. I've been a big fan of yours. You've been a mentor to me for a long, long time. And so to sit here with you and have this conversation as peers is really incredible. Thank
Oh my
you.
gosh, that's so nice. Thank you so much. All right, that's it for now. If you're listening and loving what you hear, please like and subscribe. Reviews are great too and much appreciated. And if you're a woman in the middle who's 50 or over and an entrepreneur and would also like to come on the show, please go to www.midlifeinterviews.com and fill out an application. We'd love to have you on to share your story. Thanks so much for listening. It's never too late to put yourself on the agenda. I'm Suzy Rosenstein, and I'll talk to you again soon. Now, real quick before we say goodbye, if you are connecting with the show and are finally ready to make some changes to regret proof your life, I want to invite you to apply for the Women in the Middle Academy. It's my transformational midlife group coaching program to help you get clear about what's getting in your way so you can get on with the good stuff. Head over to www.womeninthemiddleacademy.com. Talk soon.